I am Jack Pero, and I will be giving my presentation on Hélio Oiticica and his Parangos. Oiticica was born in July 26, 1937, and died March 22nd, 1980. He was a very prolific and very avant-garde artist for the time. He was born in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, uh, and he made many avant-garde pieces that some didn't enjoy, but a lot of his pieces were very his own and didn't fit quite as much in specific categories that people would normally categorize a lot of art. Now, the next biggest question is, what is parangos? Parangos are cape or cloak like pieces of material meant to be worn by performers or dancers, depending on the situation, and have samba music played while they dance. The whole point is to see a bunch of colors moving around in beautiful ways from the people doing their own dance moves to the music. And it didn't always have to be performers or dancers, which most of the time it was, but also it could be normal people. Oiticica, he would invite some of his friends, or he would just make it a public event that anyone could do, and you would be able to make your own, or you would get one and you would just dance to the music and enjoy your time. Now, when talking about parangos, a lot of people, don't see it as much, and even in this photo, you can see what looks like a trash bag almost being worn. But the beauty behind it is when you truly see it in person. It is described as the best way to view this form of art. In an article by Dezuze, uh, she wrote that this form of art is so personal. When you see it, it just truly is a magical experience, and that it should always be revered as an amazing experience that anyone could have, especially when there was, in 2007, the Tate had a tribute to Oiticica as a way to show the beauty of his art. And a quote from Catano Veloso. When he experienced it, he said his parangos were transcendental robes and coats, were the most sublime anti-fashion clothes design, quasi impossible to wear. They at first seemed to be nothing. Then you would try them on, and in the process, you discover multiple meanings. You get overexcited with myriad of suggestions they produced, thoughts, feelings, and inspirations. These pieces of clothing, if you want to call that, are different, but they have such a beauty behind them, especially when you see them in person. Another big part for Hélio in his artistic journey were the people that helped him. Most notably is Ligia Clark and Ligia Pape, but there are many others that helped him throughout his time as an artist, especially when they were in the concrete movement in Brazil, which was a very avant-garde art movement that involved a lot of geometric shapes in abstracted ways. A good example of one of his pieces from the time is the bolitas in the corner, or fireballs, which are a series of sculptures and objects with that Oiticica referred as trans objects, in which color is apparently inflamed by light and therefore embodies energy, to show a real difference in how you view an object. Ligia Clark and Ligia Pape, both respectively, were amazing artists, and both had strong relationships with Hélio during his artistic journey. Ligia Clark was even said to have some romantic or non-romantic, it's not fully sure, but most people assumed that they were together at one point and they had a very strong connection, and they both helped him towards his vision. And one of those visions was the creation of the parangos. During the 1950s, about 1955, Brazil was having almost a renaissance of its own. The country had just gotten a president who was all about progress and the and fixing the unstable decades that they had been experiencing many years in the past. And during this time, art flourished. There was many movements of art that kept coming in constantly, especially with abstraction and interactive art, which Oiticica was very pleased with at the time. And many musicians started making samba, which was also very important for Oiticica's vision that he was having for his art. However, in 1964, there was a military coup backed by the U.S. that brought in a very oppressive right-wing government to power, and that government wanted to suppress all of these wants for abstraction and interactive art and a left-wing association with all those things. So a lot of that was diminished. However, many artists wanted to fight back against these efforts by the government, so it more or less fueled the art community. And one being Oiticica, he was fueled by this sense to push against what the government wanted from him as an artist. So he started to revolutionize what he wanted in interactive and abstract art. If this coup didn't happen, he probably still would have made something, but the coup was what made his art so different from what was being made at the time. One of the biggest things about Oiticica's art is whether it's a conceptual art or a participatory art. But one article states that it's neither. An article by Harper Montgomery named Neither Participatory Nor Conceptualist, Avant-Gardism in Brazil, Venezuela, and Argentina, from 1944 to 1977. This article talks about how a lot of these Latin countries have this art that can't be categorized as conceptual or participatory just because it's so its own thing. And Oiticica is one of the biggest showings of this style of art. In these pictures from the Tate, you can see all these colors of the people, and they're all doing their own things. They're not instructed to do any specific thing. So it is participatory, but you're not given instruction. You're just there to dance and have a good time while showing all these beautiful colors. And that's what makes his art different but beautiful, is that it's not conceptual or participatory, but it's something completely new and original, and something that anyone can experience or anyone can do. Now, it can be better when there's specific dancers or performers that are meant to do it, but anyone can. And you're not given specific requirements. You just put on what you're given and you dance. And you have an enjoyable time. There's many pieces of participatory art where you're given specific instructions, like to create something with this piece of art or to do something. Yes, you are doing something, which is dancing, but it's so its own in what you can and don't have to do. Sometimes people will just stand. Sometimes people will get really into it. And it's for all ages. In one picture, you can see there's a small child. And there's even some older people. And there's all kinds of age groups because this art is so its own and you can enjoy it how you want. As a way to end, I would like to give appreciation to Oiticica's vision that he had, that I spoke about throughout this presentation, is that art can be many different things, and what he created was something that you could do in your own way and that you could enjoy in your own way through dancing it and through wearing colors that you enjoy. His piece is such a different interpretation on how we view art. It is avant-garde. It is abstracted. It is participatory. It's all these things, but it's also its own. Art can take so many different forms, and when we think about art, we think about on a canvas, especially abstracted art. It's on a canvas, or it could be huge on a wall, and it's these beautiful colors that splatter everywhere. And his piece has that sense to it, but it's alive, it's moving, it's something you see, something you experience. And that's not something you can get often. I believe his art is beautiful, and that I would love to do something to this effect. Participatory art is always something I've enjoyed. So seeing a way of making a new interpretation, a new idea, a new way of experiencing and understanding participatory art is truly a beautiful thing. And I believe that all of these things that have combined to make his art is so important, whether that be people, uh, government issues at the time, or just curiosity and the want to make something new. It is such a beautiful understanding of what art can be. Thank you.